Call to order.
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press and the Ocean Star on January 5th, 2018. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspaper, posted on public bulletin boards in the township website.
Thank you. At this time, everyone, please turn off your cell phones. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Here.
Councilman Halloran.
Here.
Vice President Crate.
Here.
Councilman Mumolo.
Here.
Councilman Fosman.
Here.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Here.
President DeYoung.
Here.
Thank you.
Everybody, please rise for the salute to the flag and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, approve the reports of the municipal officers?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to approve the minutes of the March 13th, 2018 meeting?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Council Vice President Crate and Councilman Mumolo, second. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
President DeYoung.
Yes. Now we will have the presentation for the Students of the Month. Mayor and Council Vice President Crate, please.
Thank you for coming this evening. Each month, the Town Council likes to take the time to honor the Students of the Month for both Brick Township High School and Brick Memorial. These students have had amazing academic success throughout the year, and we have confidence that they will continue to have great success for years to come. Congratulations to each and every one of you. You should be proud of your achievements. I'm going to call up the students for Brick Township High School first. For grade 9, we have Irene Wojcik. Come on now. For grade 10, we have Ariana Cohen. For grade 11, we have Orion Danielson. And for grade 12, we have Salani Vaidya. I'm sorry if I didn't say that right. And for Brick Memorial for grade 9, we have Sean Holmes and Cameron McGovern. For grade 10, we have Kathleen Jankowski and Maxwell Mahaffey. For grade 11, we have Sierra Porter and Awan Etienne. And for grade 12, we have Erin White and Alexandra Ursioli.
Nice job.
If the students of the month would like to leave, now is the time to.
Go celebrate.
Moving on to 4.1, the municipal budget hearing. Madam Clerk, you read the title.
Authorized reading of budget by title only.
Oh,
That's it.
motion and a second.
Motion?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Halloran, second by Councilwoman Zapsik. I will now entertain a
Roll call.
Oh, roll call. Thank you.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
President DeYoung.
Yes.
Thank you.
I will now entertain a motion to suspend the regular order of business to accommodate the budget hearing. Can I have a motion and a second?
Make a motion to suspend regular order business to.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Councilman Mumolo, second by Councilman Halloran. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
President DeYoung.
Yes.
Thank you. Council President, this is the time fixed for the public hearing for the 2018 municipal budget. The budget was introduced by the governing body on March 27, 2018, and was advertised in the Asbury Park Press and the Ocean Star on March 30, 2018, together with the notice of hearing for April 24, 2018 at this time.
Thank you very much. Anyone who has not secured a copy of the budget may do so now. There's some copies in the back of the room. This year's budget totals $100,978,885. This is an increase of $471,742, less than 0.5% from last year. The budget represents an increase of $47.50 per year for the median home in Brick Township, which is about $4.58 per month. The proposed 2018 spending plan is $2,524,345 more than the last budget prior to this administration. That is a 5-year growth of 2.56%. Contrast that with the growth of the 5-year prior to this administration, $19,976,045, more than 25%. In this budget, insurance is up over $1 million, police salary and wage is nearly $900,000, and pension contributions increased roughly $477,000. One of the most significant revenue losses in this budget is the $1 million from the BTMUA. This revenue was first put into the budget in 2010. With this revenue, the increase would have been 1.1 cents. Before opening this public hearing, I wish to outline the procedure. Each person desiring to be heard will raise their hand, wait to be recognized, and come forward to the microphone, give his or her name and address the record, name and address for the record. I will recognize one speaker at a time. Please address all questions to the chair. Where necessary, they will be referred to individual members of the governing body or municipal officials. Questions must be confined solely to this municipal budget before us. School or county matters are not proper subjects of this hearing and cannot be discussed and answered tonight. And would anybody like to be heard on this budget? Yes.
Nan Call, 18 Greenbrier Boulevard. I heard some of what you said about the figures. I was not able to jot down everything. I heard something about a 47-cent increase, and that over a period of years. I know you mentioned about what the wages, pensions, etc. Frankly, it's misleading to say that it's been such a small increase. We've increased wages tremendously. We've increased employees, and that increased wages and pensions. And I'd like to know what return on my investment on these taxes am I getting? if you had not added so many new employees, pay so much to them that we don't get paid by our previous employers or current employers for pensions and benefits, we would have had a reduction in taxes. It's a disgrace.
Next, Mr. Finelli.
Vic Finelli, Meadow Point Drive. A couple quick comments to start off with. I will never be happy with a large increase. I won't be happy with a small increase. I won't be happy with no increase. We are the highest tax state in the country, and I will only be happy with a tax reduction, as I've stated in the past. If you remember my presentation on Social Security, my increase for the month was $2.70. You just mentioned an increase for the median home at $4 and something cents. My home is valued at least double that. So you just wiped out 4 times what I got as an increase. Just you alone. School taxes are going up, MUA is going up, and the world is going backwards for the senior citizens, and I'm going to address that at the end of the meeting. But to the budget. Number one, reserved uncollected taxes went from 8.5 million, the reserve for uncollected taxes went from 8.5 million to 4.9 million, so a reduction of 3.6 million in that reserve. My question is, where did that 3.6 million go? That's on page 3, and it's also in the little blurb in the newspaper.
Okay.
You want me to ask all my questions, or
I
are
don't
you
know.
going to
I
answer
don't
one
know
at a
what it is.
time?
Ask all of them, and we'll go right through them.
Okay. Question 2. I noticed on May 14th, you have a hearing on well water for the parks with the Department of Environmental Protection. And in looking at the article, it's an astronomical amount of water that you're looking to use. I'm assuming that right now you're paying for the water that you put into the park sprinkler system, but now you're looking to use wells? Is that?
That's nothing to do with the budget.
Yes, it
itself.
does. I'm talking.
Not on this budget.
Let me get to my point.
You're talking about something that's being done on May 14th.
I'm also talking about let me finish my question before you try to cut me off, all right?
I just
My
answered.
question had to do with, when I looked at the bills for the water on the budget, they go down by $20,000, what you're budgeting for the water. And what I wanted to know is if you're going to save millions of gallons of water this year, why is it only a $20,000 reduction in the water bill? And my question I was trying to clarify is, I'm assuming that the water you used for the sprinklers in the parks, now you're paying the MUA, but if you put the wells in, you're going to be doing that and not paying. So how much do you anticipate saving in that? Okay? It is a budget question on water usage.
Oh, are we doing
Is
that
that
now?
Number 3, salaries went up 1.8 million, and that's an increase of 4.77%. On one form, in the newspaper budget thing you put out, the little thing, it says salaries went from 39 million to 41 million, but in the budget, this one, it says it went from 37 million to 39 million on page 17. Which one is accurate, and why such a big increase? And the next question is, I noticed in the grant section, when we get 2.29 million worth of grants, in the budget right now, you only have $509,000 in grants. I know you didn't get all the grants this year, but my question is, do you anticipate getting all of those grants, or are we actually going to lose $1.7 million in grants, or is that funny money that comes into the budget?
All right, I can do 1, I can do 4.
Let's go back to the first one.
Is that it, Mr. Finelli?
Yeah, until we talk about these 4.
reserve for uncollected taxes, Mr. Finelli.
Could you put the microphone a
Oh,
little
I'm
closer?
sorry, sure. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. For the reserve for uncollected taxes, it came down $3.6 million. It has been at $8.5 million ever since we had the problem with Sandy, and we had to have the money there for taxes that were not being collected. And there's a formula that goes with this, Mr. Finelli. I put it up to, if you come to my office and you can see sheet 25 of the AFS, I put it up to 97.88%. I can go up to 98.45%. That's according to our annual financial statements. So I checked with both the assessor and the tax collector to make sure that that's going to be enough money to cover the reserve for uncollected taxes for this year, and felt comfortable bringing it down from the 8.5 million.
Okay. I understand that part. My question was, you had
Where does that,
You
it's
had,
not,
you had 8.9 million in the reserve for uncollected taxes, and 3.6 million of it disappeared. Where
Right.
did that go?
but I think we had this discussion last year. I could be incorrect, but I believe I talked to you about this last year. It says reserve, it's not really a reserve. It's money there for this year's budget that we're using on the appropriations side. They call it reserve, but it's not a reserve where that money goes anywhere and gets tucked away. So I think the title of it is misleading. It's not a reserve. It's in this year's budget at that amount. And last year's budget, the 8.5 was used, that full amount. There was nothing left over from the 8.5 in last year's budget.
For uncollected taxes?
There's no reserve. I mean, that's the title that it's given in the budget, but it's not a reserve per se.
What should we call it?
We had this conversation last year. That's the state, they call it reserve for uncollected taxes. I don't,
Okay.
So I'll talk about number 2. So Maureen based the amount for water usage in our budget based on historical usage and what she anticipated. The water allocation permit is not a given. It's a very difficult process that we've been involved in for a few years, and we're very fortunate to have gotten to the point where we have a hearing coming up. But the hearing in no way, shape, or form indicates that we're just going to get an approval.
Okay.
So it would be silly for us to adjust our anticipated expenditure for water until we know that in fact we're gonna have that permit in hand, and then we would go about the process of creating those wells and
Okay.
using them in our
The
system.
second part of
So-
my question is, thank you for answering that
You're
part. What do you anticipate saving if this thing goes through?
I didn't do the calculation.
Okay.
I've been working solely
Significant?
on the.
Significant? I did the calculations based on the article in the newspaper, and it looks like it's about 244 million gallons of water.
Yeah, I mean, we want to have the permit. We've put all our time and effort and energy into getting a permit, not only for that reason, but so that we have the ability to water our parks at a time that's conducive to residents' usage. I mean, you and I have talked before about how inconvenient it is at the times that they come on, but you can only,
Okay, so you don't really know.
no, I don't. It's,
Okay.
I'm
I hope
I'm
it's,
fully focused on what I have to do to get us the permit.
I hope it's a lot. Let's skip the salaries.
Salaries, the correct amount is, it's going from 37 million to 39 million. Page 17 of the municipal data sheet is correct. And it's going up because that's the cost of our salaries. We've got some new police officers, and we've got folks that are moving up the chain in longevity and years of service, and that's the cost of
So 39
our
to
salary
41
and
is
wages.
not correct, right?
that is 37 to 39 is the accurate increase from last year to this year.
Okay.
And then, number
grants.
4, the grants, I think Maureen wanted to answer.
yeah. You said that it was at 500 and some odd thousand. There's amendments in tonight's budget that increase, there's gonna be more.
There's 4 more grants coming into the budget, which Heather, Council President DeYoung will talk about after we close the budget hearing.
Okay.
So it's going from 509,000 to 1,057,206.64.
And as,
You're anticipating getting just about the same as last year, 2.29 million?
Well, they come in randomly, and we, I'm sorry, we're talking.
No, I'm just saying, do you,
I can't, it's chapter 159s that we put it in the budget as they come in, Mr. Finelli, I don't know.
that's added money into the budget.
Correct.
Added revenue into the budget.
Well, normally a grant, it has a revenue side and an appropriation side. The grant money comes in, but it's gonna be spent out. I mean, it's,
Okay, let's talk about salaries. And I'm gonna specifically leave the police out of it, because I'm gonna talk about that later.
Okay.
I understand contracts, I understand pay raises. There's been no cost of living increase for people on Social Security for 3 years, so there really hasn't been a cost of living increase. It hasn't gone up for 3 years. And then when it went up, we got 2%, okay? In looking through the salaries in the budget, I only picked out the ones that went up more than 4.5%, which is about average what the budget's total salaries went up for the year. But we got some numbers that are really kind of weird. General administration went up 9.8%. Purchasing and control and contracts went up 13.8%. Mayor went up 4.5%. Municipal clerk went up 10.7%. Financial administration went up 14%. Computer data went up 5%. Tax collection went up 12.5%. Engineering 10%. Code enforcement 10%. Police department went up 4.9%. Crossing guards 8%. Police dispatchers 5.3%. EMTs, you can answer this one separately, went from 127,000 to 255,000. That's an increase of 100%. Buildings and grounds went up 5.2%. Now, I understand that salary increases go into that. I understand that you have some seniority things that go into it. You people negotiate all of the contracts that, go out to these people. And I also understand that adding people to the task force drives the salary and, up. Not just pay raises, but more bodies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 departments went up over 4.5%. How do you justify that to the public as far as pay raises go, when the rest of the world is getting 2 or 3% and you've got departments going up that much, which if these things were in line, we wouldn't be talking about a raise in the taxes. We'd be talking lowering taxes. And I'm also talking, when I talk about taxes, your little piece, then you add the MUA, that little piece, which I'm not beating him up because he hasn't raised it in 3 years, so it's 5 years, okay. And then the school board budget is going to go up this year, and what's left is a good majority of the people in Brick Township are going backwards. And I'm going to talk about that at the end of the meeting. How do you justify giving out these raises? I mean, it's just 13.8%, 10.7%, 14%. How do you justify that to the public?
Well, there's a few things. The budgets were, salary and wage budget was based on the contractual obligations that we've already committed to in the 3-year contracts. This is year 3 of the 3rd year. So the comments about the increases in the contracts are usually made at the time when we approve the contract. So she's building in only what's already been negotiated into the contract. So your point's well taken for future contract negotiations, but these are not new increases based on January 1.
These are not new comments from me about contracts
I'm
either.
just indicating there's a time and a place for comments on increases, and that's usually at the time of contract ratification as opposed to adopting the budget. My second comment is the EMT numbers are off because the numbers are split between what's inside and outside of the cap. So you're looking at that as a big difference, but you're not calculating the outside of the cap cost of the EMTs. So it's not the increase that you projected. And my third comment is, when we have the budget hearings where I sit and talk about the administration budget and the purchasing budget and the tax collector budget, and Alyssa comes and talks about engineering, and the chief comes and talks about the chief, we talk about variances in our salary and wage and our operating budget that would indicate, have we, it's gone up a certain percent because of longevity or steps, or have we added a new staff person because somebody's going to be retiring and we wanted enough time to transition. So there's overlap, so it looks like a large percentage when it may be part of a plan. So we cover all that when we have the individual budget presentations, so there's a number of answers to the question of how do you answer 4%? And it varies based on department, which is what we try to explain when we do the budget presentations, so that's my third comment.
Let me comment on your specific budget presentation.
And if you want time with me one-on-one, you can have that anytime.
Let me comment on your budget presentation.
Okay.
I've made this comment the last 4 years when people do budget presentations, all right? You know what you're reading. They all have a copy of what you're reading. We have nothing. Now, you are a very clear, concise, vocal, quick speaker, right? I can maybe pick up 1 out of 3 points that you're making because you're very quick with it. Very concise, very clear, but you just can't register that information in your brain when you're speaking of all your numbers for 20 minutes.
I understand.
So we have to wait until we get something to look at, to go through it. And even at that, you do your presentation, somebody else does somebody else does something else, you spread it out over 4 weeks. When I get the documentation, I can actually look at everything now and say, these numbers are here. Now, the contracts have been negotiated for all these years, and I never hear numbers that say, well, yeah, we negotiated a contract, and the third year of the contract, we're going to get 13.8% pay raise, or 9.8. I always hear 2 to 5, 3 to 5, something like that, which I scream when I hear a 5% pay raise a year spread out. But there's all the other things that go in here that I don't know what they are, but at the end of the year, how many people have you hired in the last 4 years? What's driving these numbers up? I mean, there's nothing in the contract that's going to drive up a salary for purchasing 13.8% in 1 year. I mean, you don't have a contract that's giving out 13.8% 1 year, or 14% to the administration, or 12.5% to the tax lady. You never negotiated contracts at those amounts, not since I've been coming here. Yet the money's there, and the amount's going up. So my question is, why are they going up? And I'm sorry that I'm doing it at a budget meeting, but this is a budget meeting. This is where we get to ask the questions.
Mr. Finelli, she answered your question. It's, the different steps. It's the contract negotiations. And it is. Some of it is, someone is retiring. We have to teach the new person how to do that job. And in order to keep productivity where it is, we need to have them overlap at some point. That's what we have to do in order to keep this town running efficiently.
So you're telling me it's contract negotiations and overlap for hiring people?
That's what she just said. Those were
some.
some of the reasons that she just said. Now, if you have anything else, you can meet with Joanne separately, but if there is nothing else, please sit down.
So, Mr. Finelli, I just want to add to that, to say, I do apologize for talking quickly, but we try to cover a lot of ground at council meetings. So I have always been and will always be happy to provide you with copies of any presentation I give or anyone gives to the public where you can see what we've said regarding each department budget. We're welcome to share that with you, and if you want to digest it a little bit and come meet with me, as always, I have offered for you to do
Well,
that.
then let's solve that one right now, because I brought this up 4 years in a row. All right?
And I welcome you.
Tonight you walk in, and people get a copy of the budget.
Okay.
Right. They have about 2 minutes to go through it, which gives them no time. I got this one from you, thank you very much. I had time to go through it and ask my questions. If you do the same thing with your presentation each time you have it there, that if you have copies of it back there when we walk in, then we can pick up the thing and at least follow what you're saying and make notations and ask our questions in a sensible manner, rather than,
Well, I don't recall you asking that in the past, but I will certainly
No,
talk to them.
I've asked for it 4 years in a row
No,
after those meetings.
You've asked for the data sheet prior to the council meeting, and I have provided that. Anything you have asked me for, I have provided, and I will continue to do that.
Back up a minute.
And it's on the web. He wants the presentations that we give in individual meetings, which are,
No,
again, I don't recall you ever asking me for those
All right,
before.
trust me, the last 4 years, I've said the same comments. I already mentioned you gave me this, thank you.
You're
all right?
welcome.
What I'm asking is, when people come in here for those presentations, you got 2 people doing it, have copies in the bag for us to pick up so we can follow 2 people. I can follow what you're doing, and I can ask questions at the end of it because I make notes on it.
Request duly noted.
Thank you,
Can't
Mr.
change this
Finelli.
past year. It's
No,
over.
excuse me. I'm still waiting for an answer. Will you do that or not?
Yes, I will do that.
She just
I
said it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Don't cut me off at the knees, all right?
Excuse
I'm
me,
asking questions about the
We've been
budget.
up here for 15
Oh,
minutes,
come on.
sir.
Well, first of all, they were chitty-chatting for half of my 5 minutes.
Oh,
Coming
okay.
up with the answers.
If you're
Right?
done, sir, please sit down. Thank
So
you.
it was my time. Right?
Thank you.
5 minutes is not enough time to go
Thank
through
you,
a whole
Mr.
budget.
Finelli. You can please sit down. Anybody else? Mr. Scott?
George Scott, Queen Anne Road. I'll start off with, I need a clarification on sheet 3B1, and the reason I need that is I did speak to the chief financial officer today, where it says new ratables, like in 2017, it indicates $53 million in change. We went over those numbers today. I'd just like to know how we get to that $53 million, because it pertains to a question I have later on. Sheet number 4. UCC fees. UCC fees just went up recently. So why do we anticipate $235,144 less in 2018 than we had before? That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Sheet number 6. No, the fees are on page 6. Question on page 4, surplus. In 2018, you've got $10,927,270 in surplus. We can't get by with anything less. So what you stated at the very beginning, $1 million from the MUA, if we didn't have that, that would be 0.8 cents. We can't get by on $10 million of surplus or $9.5 million in surplus, then you won't have a 1.9 cent increase. You'll have a lower increase. I think you should consider that really hard. Page 11. Again, spoke to the chief financial officer today. The $72,615,350 in the local tax for municipal purposes is actually $2,177,881 more than last year, which is 3.1%. Again, we're trying to keep things lower than 2%. You're at 3.1. I don't see the need for that. Page 12. These are small items, but when you really think about the increases, purchasing and contracts, purchasing and contracting, salary and wages, it's only $49,000, but when you figure out the percentage, that's 12.9%, something that Mr. Finelli kind of indicated. Some of these numbers are a little out of whack under the mayor. Other expenses. Last year, they only spent $11,145. This year, the mayor wants to spend $26,350. That's more than double. Why? I mean, you know, you say you want to be fiscally prudent. I don't see doubling that amount as prudent. Council wages, you're only $8,000 different, but that comes to 16%. Again, numbers that we really shouldn't have. Page 15. Here's a mind-boggler. Code enforcement. Under other expenses. In 2017, you spent $1,602. In 2018, you want to spend $152,465. That's a joke, a real joke. 15E. Now, if you curb some of those spendings, you might come out with a zero tax increase. There's $152,000 right there. It's just mind-boggling. 15E, electricity. In 2017, you spent $773,000. In 2018, you want to spend $1,035,000, a 34% increase. If Jersey Central Power and Light came to me and said my bill was going up 34%, or any of the people in the state of New Jersey, I think you'd see a revolution. Page 17. I got an answer from Maureen on that, which I thank her for. Page 29. Again, something that Mr. Finelli brought up about the uncollected taxes, and I did have a conversation with our chief financial officer about that. One thing I do want to ask, where she said the $8,500,000 was spent in 2017, Was it spent or was it transferred? Was it actually spent for uncollected taxes? I don't think so, because we have a tax sale every year that is quite successful. 40A, and I guess this is part of the budget, but it's an estimate for years 2018 to 21 for Mayor Ducey's continuation of his debt service, but there's no explanation there. So if you do have the time at the end, I'd like to hear that explanation. Three of the other things that I have questioning as far as the budget is concerned: where's the money from Food Town? We sold Food Town, we're supposed to be getting money, why isn't it in the budget? What's taking so long? 2 years ago, 2016, we had a promise, the mayor said we were going to get the money back from the landfill thing, $273,000. Where's the $273,000? I'll stop at that.
So you have the 1B question. Can we do that?
Sure. Okay. Hey, Mr. Scott, how are you?
Good, and you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Starting with your sheet 3B1 question about the new ratables.
Right?
That's not in the township valuation as of yet. I believe, you'd have to speak with Irene about that, our assessor, because I believe these new ratables go on the books after October. You'd have to, that's more of an assessor's question. It's not in the ratables yet, I don't believe.
Right, because in my conversation with you today, when we got the valuations from
Correct.
16 and 17, so $10,264,000,000 compared to $10,282,000,000 is $18 million roughly. So
That's
I didn't quite-
that's not the same thing though, Mr. Scott, that's what I'm saying. These
That's
are
why
new,
I'm
these are,
asking.
these are new ratables, and I don't know, that's an assessor's question. I
Okay.
believe it goes on the books October 1st, and it's not in the township valuation as of yet. I don't have an answer for you for that.
Maureen, I'll research that then with the tax assessor.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, which was your next question?
Next question is page
Surplus.
6, the UCC fees, no?
Oh, UCC fees?
Okay, we could do the UCC code.
I'm going in
page?
order. He was on page sheet 6. He's asking why you only budgeted. And I believe the question was, why did we only budget 2.3 million as opposed to the 2.7 from last year?
Say again?
I believe the question was, we budgeted, she anticipated 2.3 as opposed to the 2.7 we anticipated last year?
I anticipated less than we realized because on the advice of Dan Newman, the construction, he said to anticipate less. He said, under his advisement.
They just voted on increases in that whole department, so I can't see that anybody that would run that department would say, we're now going to come up with $250,000 less than we did last
He
year.
didn't tell me exactly how much. He said to err on the lower side. I have an email. I'm not making that up.
I'm not doubting you.
But he's
I'm-
basing on permits. He's basing on permits received and workload.
He said that the permits won't
Right.
be, that the revenue coming in will be less.
Let me tell you something. I'm in the process of doing a house. My permit was $6,000. I don't see any shortfall in that number, but,
Well, it's better to err on the side
The
of,
number of permits is down. So
okay.
significantly, they're down. And it's better to not anticipate the revenue in this year's budget than to anticipate too much and not have it come in.
Correct.
Okay?
And then explain why you
I don't agree with that, but I'll accept that as an answer.
Okay. Oh, now we're on to surplus? Okay. All right, as far as your surplus question, Mr. Scott, I don't have the other.
11, almost $11 million in surplus. That's a lot of surplus. Do we really need that large an amount? Can't we do it a little bit less?
No,
Why?
because I'm looking for next year and the year after. I'm not looking to just budget this year's budget. I'm looking for the future of Brick Township. And if in fact I budget too much surplus and then don't have that much coming in next year, we're gonna have a conversation next year of going out for, what's the word I'm looking for?
Special emergency?
Not a special emergency, no, referendum. And I don't want it to come to that, so I'm looking to the future. It's been the policy of using about 50%, which is what I use, 49 point,
Okay, so then, let me follow that up with a question. Maureen, what was the lowest surplus we've had in the last 5 years,
5 years?
roughly?
9 million.
I mean, last year's surplus to this year is almost the same, but have we always been up around 11 million? Because
No,
Wait,
we've
I
been
have that.
half.
Hold on.
We've been half. We've taken half and left half, so whatever that is. I think last year was 9 million, but that, again, represented half. The 11 million this year represents half.
In
Okay.
2014, you're talking about utilized or what we had at the end of the year, like December 31st, what we had, or how much we used in the
how,
current budget?
how much we've actually reserved and then actually used. So aren't they close to the same number, or are they quite
Yes,
different?
they are. That's,
Okay.
I didn't know what you're.
I would think
okay.
so.
All right, so 2014, we utilized $7 million, $7,077,000. 2015, we utilized $9,994,000. 2016, $9,599,000. 2017, $10,928,000. And this year, $10,922,000.
Okay, so going back 5 years, and you have a historical record then of having 8 million, and the next year you never came up short. I'm hoping that that trend continues, but we went from 8 million now to almost 11 million, but you don't come up with a shortfall the following year, and we haven't, just based on what you just said a second ago.
Okay, well, this is going to lead into your question, which I know you have, about the reserve fund collected taxes. For the last 4 years or so, we used $8.5 million
Which I
because of
object-
Sandy.
which I
know you've
objected to.
objected to that. I know you have. But when we appropriate that money in the reserve fund collected taxes, and we don't use that much, that money gets funneled into surplus. This year, when I decrease the reserve fund collected taxes, you're going to be less the 3.1 million going into surplus next year, because I decreased the reserve fund to collect taxes if we're not going to use that full amount. You following me?
I do.
Okay. So you're going to be less the 3.1 million in next year's surplus right off the bat.
But if I didn't add all of the surplus monies that you had from different items, if you add that up, that comes to quite a large amount of money.
I gave you the amounts of money.
No, in that one particular line item, yes.
I gave you the amounts that we had at the end of the past 4 years.
Correct. And every year that you went forward, we've never come up with a shortfall, correct? Never.
The shortfall of surplus?
Yes.
Because we've always used half. If last year they would have left a quarter of it as opposed to half of it, we would have started off this year in a hole by that amount. She's trying to avoid us starting out in a hole.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
But like Joanna said, you know that I'm in my office all the time when I'm here, so you're more than welcome to come in, and like we did last year, I can show you papers and give them to you and explain stuff to you. I'd be happy to do that.
And what I say today, I appreciate those tutorials.
I know, you see?
Okay?
So I'll just talk very briefly about some of the questions, the department budget questions. So it's the same point that I wanted to make to Mr. Finelli, which was a lot of these things, why a salary wage budget is increasing 4% or 5%, or an operating budget like the mayor's budget, was explained at the time of the budget presentation. That's when we get into the variances on operating and salary. So it's covered in detail when we do the budget presentations. If some of them you didn't make, some of them you did make, but be happy to get you copies of those so you could see what the explanations were. In terms of the mayor's increase, we decided to do a newsletter more than once a year. So that strictly was the cost of doing another newsletter. And that decision was made on the feedback that we as a township received on the printed newsletter, based on the large number of seniors that we have that aren't on social media, that don't get email, that prefer not to get communication that way. They want something in their mailbox that tells them what's going on in town. So it was that feedback that led us to decide to do a second newsletter. And something of that price in a budget that small shows as a huge percentage increase, because it's a tiny little budget, an operating budget. So when you decide to do something like a newsletter, it really does throw it off kilter if you just look at the percentage increase as opposed to the cost.
You're right.
So, and she covered the reserve for.
A little
uncollected
unnecessary, in
taxes.
my opinion, but go ahead.
Okay, and you covered the reserve for uncollected taxes, and then there was a question on the debt service, page 40A, but that might be better for.
Let's
side-
touch, what about the electricity part, where we're spending $261,000, $221 more? That's a joke.
that's a budget item based on her projections for actual costs.
Electricity can't go up 34%. It's just ludicrous. It's ludicrous, really. You think Jersey Central Power and Light would get away with that? First of all, when we did that solar farm panel, that was supposed to be the best thing since sliced bread. We were gonna save a fortune in electricity. Here we are, talk about going backwards, more than $250,000. I don't think that's a good explanation, period.
Well, it requires further discussion, which we are in the process, the council authorized us some time ago to be working with a new energy consultant. And that consultant has been working very hard to try to get us a strategy to turn that ship around, because quite honestly, the solar farm at the landfill is not generating the revenue we anticipated. It's doing the opposite.
Tell me about it.
So we have had several meetings, and we're pleased that we're getting a strategy in place that will optimize or certainly turn the ship around so we're at least generating revenue, because right now, quite frankly, we're not.
Okay?
And
So,
that's an honest answer.
and I appreciate that. I would accept anything less than an honest answer. But my point is, you have a contract with the landfill, which again, when it came up, and Kevin can answer this because I brought that up at the time, do we have a cancellation clause? And we do, but we have to give them, I think, 6 months' notice or whatever. If we could get electricity cheaper from Jersey Central Power and Light than them, then cancel the contract.
We've already done that. We've already put them on notice, and we're soliciting other proposals. We've already done that.
Okay, then if you have, this guy that you just said you hired, his best effort is it's gonna cost us $261,000 more?
No, we did not take any of that into account. We took it what it was actually costing us at the time we did the budget, because there's too many variables for us to say it's gonna be less than that.
Okay. Just what I said when it happened, that this is gonna be a good thing, really. Boy, how right I can be.
You're not alone in saying that.
Yes,
That's
you're
why
not.
I'm saying
None of us
all the
like
time, too.
It was a joke,
Yeah,
Of course.
a joke.
yep.
I mean, we paid to have the grass cut there, that's another 60, 70,000. All's the guy that did it, got the whole contract, he walks away with a bucket of cash. And we get left over in the bag.
Exactly. He makes all the money and we're paying for it, and we're paying higher for our electric. That's doing.
How
it's
pathetic.
crazy. Yep.
Okay,
Then
let's
you
touch
asked-
that $1 million from the MUA. This Thursday, they're gonna have a meeting. They're gonna raise the rate 7.5%. Where's their million? Let them kick in the million. 7.5% increase? Are you,
I'm no longer on the MUA.
okay, so who is the liaison for the MUA? Is anybody on the council?
Mr. Scott, we're talking about our municipal budget here. We're not talking about the MUA budget right
Council
now.
President, don't you think $1 million from the MUA is part
Yes,
of the,
and
part
we
of our
did not
budget?
get it this year, and
We-
that's
we-
the end of the story.
And we didn't ask, Mr. Scott, we didn't ask. We didn't ask this year because the indication to us last year is that when they're in a position because of additional surplus or not investing in capital at the time, it's a mutual, we're sure we'd take $1 million, but if they tell us, hey, next year, we really plan on investing a significant amount of money in capital improvements, and it would not be a good year for us to make that donation, they told us that last year, and this year we respected that and did not ask for the $1 million.
Okay,
Mr. Scott, I'm the liaison to the MUA. I go to meetings. They're putting in a system, filtration system. It's gonna run $20 million. So they're using, they don't have money to just, that's the reasons for primarily the rate increase. And this is stuff that's needed, improvement for better water quality.
so have they they must have known that they needed this filtration system for a while, I would think.
I think last year it's come on to when they've come through.
When?
Last year.
Oh.
When they gave the $1 million for 2017, that was already in the budget for 16. So last year's when they said they weren't going to give the $1 million
Well,
for 18.
they explained to us that they had, aggressive investments to make in capital improvements, and we chose not to make the request for the donation based on that.
Okay,
And then I guess the last piece is the Food Town property. It is not in the budget. We have not sold the property yet. We are still working with both developers on coming up with a mutually approved concept plan that would set the table for us to, one, have the transaction of sale, and then secondly, go forward with planning board approval for the site as both developers I've identified. We're working diligently towards that, and as of Friday, we saw a most recent version of a concept plan, but they really, both parties have to sign off on that before we can facilitate the sale.
Okay, so then technically, it's not sold until you get
Correct,
everything done.
correct.
Okay, well, the mayor a while back said, well, we finally come to the point where it was solid, but it's taken forever to get this whole thing done.
Sure,
We had a lawsuit we had to settle. I
Yes.
mean, there was a lot going on. The closing's not gonna happen until, it's easier for, a governmental entity to go through the state process than private entity. So we went through the DOT process, which they said might take a year and a half, 2 years. We were in and out of that in 3 months. Now we have to get through the CAFRA, but before we can go to CAFRA, those two developers have to agree on this concept plan to show where the drainage is going and everything else, then they can go to CAFRA. But it's easier for a state agency to apply, for a public entity to apply for CAFRA rather than two developers that don't even agree with each other, let alone trying to get through a state process. So that's why we're not closing until we're done with the permitting process. They're covering all the costs, but we are the applicant to make it go smoother.
Okay, but again, and this has been brought up before, they are covering all of the costs, engineering, the whole 9 yards.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
it's their engineers who are drawing the plans, it's not our staff. It's our attorney, because we want control of the attorney doing the, representing our interests. So it's our attorney that they're paying for.
Oh, so the redevelopment attorney, they're picking up his bill, is what you're saying?
Yep, through the escrow process.
Yes?
I know they're covering the engineering. I'm not sure about the attorney. I have to look at the contract. It's not my firm, so I'm not familiar with that, but I'll find out.
Okay. When are we getting the money from the fiasco with Birdsall and whatnot that we were chasing with the bonding company?
That
was a no.
ended up with zero.
Yeah.
That was zero, yeah.
Why? I mean, we never got an answer, at least I never got an answer.
The answer was they were so far dissolved that there was no money for us. Did you want to talk to that, Kevin? Yes, please. Well, I don't know, is that all right?
Come on up, Kevin. Join the fun. Join the fun.
The lawsuit you're talking about was against, we'd like to be against Birdsall for the defective design of that landfill. Birdsall went into bankruptcy, was dissolved, Chapter 7 was liquidated, there was nothing left. We looked to the insurance companies for that. It was a professional liability insurance. I thought we spoke about this, but a professional liability insurance policy, you have to make the claim during the policy. Most entities that go out of business have what's called tail coverage, which means you can continue to make the claim for several years after. Because Birdsall went into bankruptcy and was liquidated, there is no tail coverage. So the insurance company declined coverage because the claim was not made during the period of coverage, which was back when the operations were underway by Birdsall when they were doing the design. So we got unfortunately stuck because of this catastrophic bankruptcy of Birdsall that made essentially all of the assets disappear. So there's nothing left to collect on.
Okay, so I heard your whole explanation. Let me just explain the way I understood it. Originally, you had said to the mayor, it's not worth going after them, they went bankrupt. And I said, that's fine, but they had to have a bond because all of the work that we give out, we make sure there's always a bond or there's insurance one way or another. At that point, you looked into it again and you said, you're absolutely right. We have an attorney that's gonna go after the bonding company.
I did not say you're absolutely right.
No, okay, what?
And it's not the bonding company. The bonding company secures the improvements on behalf of a contractor, does business with a public entity. The contractor was not at fault. It was the engineer, which was then the township's engineer. What they have in place is a professional malpractice insurance policy. They had that in place. We know they did. Everyone who does business with the town does that. That disappeared through the bankruptcy. When you brought it up, I said, I think it's something worth looking into. Unfortunately, it did not pan out because of that lack of continuing insurance coverage.
Okay, then why did we pay monies to, didn't we hire Florio's firm for that?
We did because we believed that it was worthwhile to look into because it was a several million-dollar claim, and we thought putting what was, in comparison, a nominal amount of legal fees into looking at that multi-million-dollar claim was worthwhile to see if we could get some insurance coverage. Turned out, despite our best efforts, we could not because it just wasn't there.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else on the actual budget?
What did you say about explaining 40A? That was my last question.
The debt service, were you gonna do that offline? Do you have that with you, 48? I thought you wanted to talk about that in detail at another time, the debt service, is what I understood. Yeah,
I'm willing to do that. That's not a
okay,
problem.
yeah, because I don't know that I got an actual question. You just said 48
what was
debt
it- what-
service, we'll talk about that another time.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else on the municipal budget? Mr. Sluka.
John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. I actually wish, like Mr. Finelli, I got this 2 weeks ago, because a budget doesn't take an hour to look at, and I got here a half hour early, and I'm still fiddling with it. Just one or two quick questions, and you can answer them. I'm sure you know the answer, I just don't know myself. I think I'm looking at page 11. Local tax for municipal purposes, including the reserve for uncollected taxes. 72 million versus 70 million. Not counting these uncollected stuff, that's basically an accounting thing. What is the real municipal taxes incorporated into that one number? Is the uncollected make it go up or go down?
Well, the uncollected taxes is on the appropriations. The reserve for uncollected taxes is on the appropriation side.
Okay, on the
And you're talking.
on the appropriation side then, reserve for
the amount
uncollected
to be
taxes.
Yeah, but the amount to be raised is a revenue.
Right. On the revenue side,
Oh, including the reserve for uncollected, I see what you're saying, okay.
I got
yeah.
them both.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
That's why I have to,
On sheet 11 you're talking about?
Okay, so sheet 11, that was
Right.
the one I thought would be easy to work. Would be for the local tax, see down near the bottom, local tax for municipal purposes, including reserve for uncollected taxes.
Right.
The uncollected taxes, according to your appropriations, are $4,800,000. What I'm asking is, what's the local tax for municipal purposes, forgetting about the uncollected taxes?
It is the 72,615,000. They're just saying that that amount, if we do collect all the taxes and we don't have to include a reserve amount for uncollected taxes, this is the amount, the 72,615,000, 350,43.
Okay, so basically the $4,900,000 on the appropriation page is basically an accounting adjustment.
Correct. But like
Where
if
it
you were to
doesn't
say
do
that way-
anything, it basically,
Well, it
it's a
does,
reserve to you could use anywhere else.
No, it's not no.
It's a bad name.
Well, forget about the reserve then. It's a amount of funds to make the thing balance.
It's an appropriation.
Right, to make a balance sheet balance, that's all it is. It's
No, it doesn't balance, it doesn't make it, it's an amount that we need to put in our budget in case we don't collect all the taxes that are needed for the budget. It's on the appropriation side, we put that in there.
Right. If you didn't have it, the balance sheet wouldn't balance.
Then I would have to do something with the amount to be raised, and that would have to go up.
Right, something would have to make it work. All that's what I'm saying. This is purely an accounting adjustment to make the balance sheet balance.
No, I don't agree with that, the way that you're explaining it, no. It does, I don't just plug that number in there to make it balance, no.
Well, somebody creates it on, if I was working somewhere and they said, we really don't collect about 1.1% of all our revenues, and we know we make $100 million a year, that would be $1,100,000. So that's what my reserve would be, the 1.1%. In this case, we're showing 4.8%. Last year, we showed 8.5%
Right.
of the uncollected.
Which,
We're not really uncollecting this money. If you're saying that the correct amount of taxes that we actually get is 72
The reserve
million.
for other uncollected taxes does other things than cover what we don't collect. It also pays out our tax appeals. It's not just a pocket of money for what we may not collect in taxes. There are a lot of different components to coming up with that dollar amount.
So it's
That
not
is-
really an uncollected funds
It's a
reserve,
state-
it's
the
uncollected
state-
fund reserve and everything else in the world that you want to put in there.
Right, no, the
in order
state
to-
has, the state has a form that we have to complete,
Well-
and that drives the number that is your reserve.
Well, like, I don't know if it was.
I'm not a big fan of the state fund accounting either, but they do basically the same thing. It's, in order to get the balance sheet to balance,
No.
you need that piece.
Well, you need the number to put
Right.
in it.
But you really never tell anybody, the state doesn't do it either. Tell us what's in that
Oh, we have
number.
it right here. We can tell you every penny of how she arrives
I
at.
have
To get the-
a sheet, a reserve fund.
So
for
it's
the
not really
taxes that it-
uncollected funds, or
It's-
possible uncollected.
It's money that's there that we put on the appropriation side in case we do not collect all of the revenue on the revenue side.
Right, right.
Right, so therefore, the $72 million that you have up here, if I'm getting this right, is the money that we anticipate collecting,
Yes.
and this 4.8 million is, if for some strange reason we can't collect 4.8 million out of the 72 million,
Or we have tax appeals.
or you have a lot of other stuff. Yeah, so that's why it's confusing, because it's listed as that, and I'm sure the state does it the same way when I read their budget. And most companies, when I see it, it's, hey, 0.01%, 0.10%, stuff like that. It's not 4.8% of the whole budget. And it seems like a lot of money. That's what I'm saying. That's why it looks like a slush fund, even though I know it's not.
No, it's not.
But I'm saying that's what it would look like, because it's a number that's a creation.
Well, like I think you just said that you need more time to go over this.
Yeah, that's
You know,
why,
so
maybe next year for
I'll
Mr.
invite you.
Finelli
You can come
and the rest
see
of
me,
us.
and I'll go through all of this with you, because I can't do it in 5
Right.
minutes.
We put this
And
out
it's
2
not-
weeks before the budget hearing, instead of saying, after we approve the budget, then you guys could ask us questions. I'd rather have it 2 weeks before, so when I ask questions, I almost feel like I know what I'm talking about, instead of relying on just one item. Okay?
Any other
So
questions?
maybe for next year, we could do it that way.
Any other
Get this out a
questions?
week and a half ahead of time. Okay, thank you.
Council President, if I could just make one point, I just wanted to make everyone aware that the budget is available the day after introduction in my office.
Yes.
It is posted on the township website, and it is at the Ocean County Branch Library.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Council President, can I just say one thing to Mr.
Yeah,
Scott?
the budget's been on the internet for like 6
Mr.
weeks.
Scott, the Jersey Shore Online, as well as the Patch, did an article on the Water Authority. It has everything listed on there and everything that they're doing. So if you might want to look on there for the details of what that is. And just for the record, I voted against the solar field.
Anything else on this municipal budget? Yes, Ms. Call.
Basically, I have a comment. Van Carl, 18 Greenbrier Boulevard. What the behavior of the council and the administration was for the past almost hour was absolutely disrespectful to everybody in this township. Number one, shouldn't have that clock. Number two, we should be having those caucus meetings. Yes, you think that this is very funny, don't you, Chairwoman DeYoung? That's disrespectful. You're sitting up there with a great big grin on your face. You might as well be laughing out loud.
I'm not allowed to smile?
Not when I'm talking very seriously to you about my
Okay.
displeasure.
I will
And people
try
were
not to
talking
smile.
together. This is an open public meeting, and it is a place for you to disseminate information to us, not for us to have to pull it out of you, not for us to have a clock going off that 5 minutes are up in our search for information. And I want to say, I think that your first name is Maureen, but I'm not positive.
Yes.
Most of this is not on your back to be answering for. You get the data from the mayor and administration, basically, and you work the figures based upon what they tell you you have to do. So a lot of what you're kind of feeling beaten up about, I imagine, is not your responsibility. It is theirs. And every week of the year, you should be giving us information. We should have gotten in council comments, Instead of the nonsense of patting yourself on the back about cutting ribbons at places, what the MUA was doing, what was going on currently with the food town, what was happening at the solar field. I've been coming here since 2002 at least, if not before, regularly. Most of you were not here when the solar field went through all the thrashing. So there was no comment when it went through the thrashing. You may have been here when it was the final vote, but you were not here attending the meetings when we were thrashing out what was going to be and had an opportunity to comment. Go back to a caucus meeting 1 week where you can spend this whole time in a conference room around a table and allow us. And I'll close with my latest slogan. I have a lot of them. What is about us, without us, is not for us. I heard it at a presentation of an Irish organization about the murals in Belfast where the Troubles all took place. I thought that it came up at that time when they did these murals, particularly depicting the circumstances of the 1960s when people in Belfast went on starvation diets for the tyranny of the orange people. It wasn't. It goes way back to about the 1500s. It mentions Poland. It mentions France in my research because I don't generally speak without knowing what I'm speaking about. And this was a disgrace tonight.
Hey, Ms. Cole, can I just say something?
I would prefer that you don't.
It's me.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you can say anything you would like.
Oh, I just
because-
wanted to let you know, I am involved with,
yes.
I just want you,
Yes.
for the record,
But it's not on your back.
but I do
You're
support
responsible for the numbers.
No, but I do support this budget and how it stands, and I just wanted to make it for
That's
the
based
record, and
upon
I have.
what you were given to work
Well,
with.
no, we worked it all.
Ms.
I-
Call,
I-
please let her speak. Thank you.
No, I mean, I just wanted to set it for the record that it's not what I'm given. I mean, I work these things up and we all work together, so I just wanted to,
Yes, you
put it on
did.
the record that, okay?
However, it was the mayor
No,
and
no,
administration that decided to hire people, that held the negotiations about wage increases and benefits. We, the people, pay the freight, but we don't get to say anything about it or hear about it. And as far as the budget, the material should be available to us 48 hours in advance. Never mind, and we shouldn't have to be going out of our way to get it.
It's just in the clerk's office, and you've been here multiple times since it's been out. Thank you, Ms. Call.
I
You
have
can
not
sit down.
been here.
Mr.
multi-
Scott.
Excuse me. Again, you're disrespectful to me.
Okay,
A woman old enough to be a grandmother.
thank you. Mr. Scott?
One last,
We're in yellow tonight.
say again? No yellow. Not warm enough yet. The other thing I want to bring up, our rateable base from last year to this year has gone up $32,019,042. Again, I did have the opportunity to talk to Maureen about this today, and a question that I was asking her, which we had a hard time understanding one another. With that amount of money and more ratables, which is a good thing for the township, of course, the answer that she got after talking to the tax assessor and to the auditor actually gives us, in tax dollars, approximately $467,430. So here's another $500,000 more that you got this year than you had last year. Again, 1.9 with another $500,000 is a little excessive. So I just don't see the point of hitting that number. When you're getting more money in, the ratables are up. Looking at some of the other 12 and 13 and 15% increases, I don't think it's a great budget. Is it a budget? Fine. But there are people on fixed incomes that aren't going to think that this is so great. So I'd like to hear what your what your idea is about this extra 467,000.
The 467,000, like we said before, we had a lot of things that went down. We weren't able to collect. We didn't get the $1 million. We have insurance. We did have to hire more people in our police. There was a give and take. This is the most fiscally sound budget that we could come up with, that in the next 5-10 years, we can feel good about the position that Brick Township is in right now. We're not leaving us with $47,000 in surplus. We're improving our bond rate, and we're giving ourselves a good future. We're not going to be not responsible. That is not the ideal of this council.
That's evident.
I'm glad you said that.
Yes, Mr. Finelli.
There's about 77,000 people in Brick. Do you ever wonder why you have a turnout like this on a budget meeting? Oh, by the way, you were disrespectful to me and to Mr. Scott by telling us what we were talking about wasn't on the agenda before you knew what we were talking about. So I agree with that also.
Okay.
You have a legal obligation to put the budget in the newspaper, you know, the little blurb that comes out after the May 27th meeting. You also have a legal obligation that that information be accurate.
Was that a question?
It sure sounded like a question. I'll ask it again. You have a legal obligation to put this information in the newspaper after the May 27th meeting. Do you also have a legal obligation that that information be accurate? Because I just read to you before, when I was up here the last time, I read you two sets of numbers about salaries. One of them was 37 and 39. One of them was 39 and 41. 39.41 was in the newspaper. The other one was from your budget. I asked you which one was accurate. Now I'm asking you, do you have a legal obligation to put accurate information when you put it in the newspaper? Because obviously this is not accurate.
Well, I haven't referenced that since it was printed, but the two numbers you gave me, one was from last year to this year and one is this year. So both of those numbers may be in there and both of them may be accurate. It just depends on what you're looking at.
Well,
I just chose to answer your question.
You tell me.
I'm gonna tell you, we published the budget that was accurate at the time, and this data sheet is accurate for everything that they presented today. But I'm not gonna take everybody's time by comparing the newspaper ad to the data sheet.
Well, this is what I was working with, so I'm asking the question then. Did in fact, what I think I just heard you say is this was accurate when this was put out, and now that's accurate when that's putting out. So my question is, then the salaries changed $2 million?
You're putting words in my mouth. What I'm saying is we
Well, if you answered my question the way I asked
What
it,
I
then I
also-
wouldn't have to put words in your mouth.
But I did also say that I'm not gonna sit here and go from the data sheet to the newspaper ad and compare the two and find where what you may be looking at that was inaccurate or in a different column. than
Joanne,
you're
I just
looking at.
offered to show you what I
I'm
had
not gonna
there.
sit here and go through line item by line item and point out what you may have misunderstood.
I'm not
I answered
asking
your
you to
question
go through
accurately.
line item for line item. I'm asking you one category, one line item. When I got this, I looked at this and I compared it. Then when I got this, I looked at this and compared it to this. And the two were off by $2 million. I'm looking at 2017 to 2018. I read you the numbers. I'm not a stupid person. Right?
Can I see that, please?
If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Bottom one, right here. This is what I'm looking at. Right here.
Okay, come here, please. The salary and wage that you're looking at, and I don't have my calculator with me, but it's sheet 17 and sheet 25 added together. So I believe if you take this and add it to here, you're gonna come up with this 41. And I believe if you take this 37 and this 1.4, you're gonna come up with this 39.
What is
Okay.
this? What is this?
This is salary and wage here. You have inside and outside the caps. You have salary and wage on sheet 17 and salary and wage on sheet 25. So you're going to add these numbers together and come up with that number, and last year's numbers together and come up with that number. And there'll be a difference of the 2 million whatever from 2017 to 2018.
So then what you told me when I was up here before was inaccurate.
No, that's not at all what I said.
You said the 39.
You told me that these numbers were salary and wages. You did not tell me that add these numbers and then add these numbers. And then what wages go outside the cap? Because I admit I didn't know that.
Okay,
So
that's
what
fine.
What wages go outside the cap?
EMTs, the portion of EMTs are
Yes,
outside the cap.
EMTs are outside the cap, $1.4 million.
Portion. Yep, I did.
And that's it right there. The EMT's salary and wages are outside, a portion of it. And there's a portion of it, like 100,000 some odd dollars is on sheet 15, I believe, that's inside the cap.
And the rest?
I can only put outside the cap the amount of revenues that they collected last year.
The salary and wage amount that equates to the revenue amount they collected last year.
So anything that goes over and above that amount, I have to put inside the cap.
Okay, just so you know, when I asked you before which one was accurate, the higher number was accurate. You didn't say there was wages outside the cap.
Okay, well, I'm
But I
telling you
didn't
that
know
now, and I apologize, I'm telling you that now,
No,
so
no.
it's cleared up, right?
Okay, it's cleared up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I learn something every day, but I only learn by asking questions.
Okay, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Anybody else? Seeing none, close public. I will entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Pontorero, second by Councilman Fosman. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
President DeYoung.
Yes.
Madam President, I have a resolution to present at this time, amending the 2018 municipal budget.
This amendment allows for the inclusion of 4 grants we have received since the budget was introduced and modifying the audited financial statement as necessary to allocate funds to pay debt. Madam,
You ready?
yes.
Whereas the local municipal budget for the year 2018 was approved on the 27th day of March 2018, and whereas the public hearing on said budget has been held as advertised, and whereas the Township Council, the Township of Brick, desires to amend the introduced and approved budget, and now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council, the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, that the following amendments to the approved 2018 budget be made. Summary of current funds section of approved budget, general appropriation for appropriations excluded from caps, municipal purposes, items H2, sheet 28, NJS 40A 4-45-3 as amended, from $17,077,308.21 to $17,620,717.21. Total general appropriations excluded from caps, item O, sheet 29, from $17,077,308.21 to $17,620,717.21. Total general appropriations, item 9, sheet 29, from $100,978,885.03 to $101,522,294.03. 5, less anticipated revenues other than current property tax, item 5, sheet 11, i.e. surplus miscellaneous revenues and receipts from delinquent taxes, from $28,363,534.60 to $28,906,943.60. General revenues surplus anticipated from $10,927,270.95 to $10,922,620.95. Total surplus anticipated from $10,927,270.95 to $10,922,620.95. Miscellaneous revenues, section F, special items of revenue anticipated with prior written consent of Director of Local Government Services, public and private revenues offset with appropriations. Highway safety grant from 0 to $29,999. Green Communities Grant from 0 to $3,000. Ocean County Pump Out Boat from 0 to $40,000. NJ DOT Cedarwood Park East from 0 to $475,060. Total Section F, Special Item of General Revenue anticipated with prior written consent of Director of Local Government Services, Public and Private Revenues, from $509,147.64 to $1,057,206.64. Summary of revenues. 1. Surplus anticipated, sheet 4, item number 1, from $10,927,270.95 to $10,922,620.95. Item 3, miscellaneous revenues, total Section F, special items of revenue, of general revenue, anticipated with prior written consent of Director of Local Government Services, Public and Private Revenues, offset with appropriations, from $509,147.64 to $1,057,206.64. Total miscellaneous revenue from $15,136,263.65 to $15,684,322.65. 5. Subtotal general revenues, items 1, 2, 3, and 4, from $28,363,534.60 to $28,906,943.60. Total general revenues from $100,978,885.03 to $101,522,294.03. General appropriations. A. Operations with in-caps. Insurance, liability insurance, other expenses, from $873,500 to $952,115. Workers' compensation insurance, other expenses, from $1,125,000 to $1,046,385. A. Operations excluded from caps. Public and private programs offset by revenues. Highway safety grant from 0 to $29,999. Green Communities grant from 0 to $3,000. Ocean County pump out boat from 0 to $40,000. NJDOT Cedarwood Park East from 0 to $575,060. Total public and private programs offset by revenues. From $509,147.64 to $1,057,206.64. Total operations excluded from caps, detail, let me go back. Total operations excluded. Yeah. Total operations excluded from caps, $2,381,156.26 to $2,929,215.26. Detail other expenses from $911,631.64 to $1,459,690.64. Municipal debt service excluded from caps. Payment on bond principal from $9,984,456.95 to $9,979,806.95. Total municipal debt service excluded from caps from $14,271,151.95 to $14,266,501.95. H2, total general appropriations for municipal purposes excluded from caps, from $17,077,308.21 to $17,620,717.21. O, total general appropriations excluded from caps, from $17,077,308.21 to $17,620,717.21. L, subtotal general appropriations, items H1 and O, from $96,088,885.03 to $96,632,294.03. Total general appropriations from $100,978,885.03 to $101,522,294.03. Summary of appropriations. A, operations excluded from caps. Public and private progs offset by revenues. From $509,147.64 to $1,057,206.64. Total operations excluded from caps from $2,381,156.26 to $2,929,215.26. D, municipal debt service from $14,271,151.95 to $14,266,501.95. Total general appropriations from $100,978,885.03 to $101,522,294.03. Be it further resolved that 2 certified copies of this resolution will be filed with the Office of the Director of Local Government Services for certification with the 2018 budget so amended. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution will be forwarded to the Business Administrator, Chief Finance Officer, and the Purchasing Agent. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Council President, I'd like to move the adoption of this resolution.
Motion by Councilwoman Zapsik, second by Councilman Halloran. Do I have any questions on the amendment of the budget from the public? Seeing none, question on the amendment only.
When did that stuff come in? Because I had trouble writing about 1/3 of what you said. So obviously, I'm not going to ask a great question. Is there money that went into surplus any in that group?
What happened, like I said before, this amendment allows for the inclusion of 4 grants which we have received since the budget was introduced, and modifying the audited financial statement as necessary to allocate funds to pay debt.
Good. Was any of the money into surplus?
Mo?
Surplus came down by $4,650, not in.
So that lowered the surplus, this extra money?
It lowered the amount of surplus we're using in the budget by $4,650.
That thing did.
Yes.
The amendments.
Okay, that's what I was couldn't understand. I'm saying you skipped over a part I was trying to listen to, and then you backed onto your word. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I usually follow numbers, but I got a little confused. So I hear what you said, it was strictly to enter grant money. But
Grant money, and there, in the audited financial statement, we needed to allocate some more funds to pay the debt. They found more funds that were able to pay debt.
Okay, but at the very first thing that the clerk had mentioned was that the total amount of 100 million, whatever that number went to 101 million. So
Yes.
Where's the extra $1 million of spending then? You said it was just to take grants. Why did the number go from 100 million to 101 million?
It was $100,978,885, so it wasn't $1 million. Yeah,
Did the number go up or down, is my question.
up.
It went up.
It went up
Okay.
because of the grants that came in, and the grants go on the revenue side and the appropriation side. So it's kind of a wash, even though the budget is going up, but it's the amount of the grants that really made it go up in the appropriation, in the amendment.
Okay. So I'm a little hazy then. The grant money is, for us, it's a plus. But again, why did the expenditures go up by that same amount?
Because of reimbursement grants. So you have to put it in the line item to spend it, and then you also have to put it in the line item to receive it.
Okay.
Anybody else? Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarera.
Yes.
President DeYoung.
Yes?
Thank you.
Thank you. This resolution is adopted. Call for a motion to adopt the budget.
I move for the adoption of the budget.
Second?
Motion by Vice President Crate, second by Councilman Fosman. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
President DeYoung.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The 2018 Brick Township Municipal Budget as amended has been adopted. We are now returning to our consent agenda. Madam Clerk, when you get a minute. Take a minute.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Very good. Resolution 5-1. Authorize award of bid 2017 local road improvements Bluff View paving project. Mayor?
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the award of bid for the 2017 local road improvement Bluff View paving project to Mecco Incorporated, and they're in Clarksburg, New Jersey. It's in the amount of $345,056.35. The Bluff View Road Improvement Project includes resurfacing and drainage improvements at Eagle View Ridge, Paramount Way, and Point View Road. Notices went out to 63 potential bidders. 12 of them responded, and 7 proposals were submitted with bids ranging from the low of $345,5635 all the way up to $580,152.50. Mecco was the lowest responsible bidder. So those 3 roads will be paved very shortly. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution 5-2, authorization to negotiate contract, supply, and operate ATM machine. This resolution authorizes the business administrator to directly negotiate a contract to provide automated teller machine at various locations. The township solicited bids on 2 occasions, but received none. Resolution 5-3, authorization to negotiate contract, ice machine concession at Traders Cove Marina. This resolution authorizes the business administrator to directly negotiate a contract for an ice machine at Traders Cove, which will be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The township solicited bids on 2 occasions and received none. Resolution 5-4, authorization to negotiate contract Fall Fest food vendor concession. This resolution authorizes the business administrator to directly negotiate a contract for vendors to provide food and refreshments during the 2018 Fall Fest event. The township solicited bids on 2 occasions, none received. Resolution 5-5, authorize Summerfest food truck vendors. This resolution authorizes the business administrator to directly negotiate a contract for Summerfest food truck vendors in 2 categories, pizza and deli. Resolution 5-6, authorize award of contract and rebid alternate and conflict code enforcement prosecutor. This resolution authorizes the award of contract for alternate code enforcement prosecutor at a rate of $400 per court session to 4 attorneys from the firm of Montenegro, Thompson, Montenegro, and Gens, and conflict code enforcement prosecutor at the rate of $250 per court session to 4 attorneys from the firm of Montenegro, Thompson, Montenegro, and Gens. This resolution also authorizes the Division of Purchasing and Contracting to advertise for the receiving of additional proposals for alternate and conflict enforcement prosecutors. Resolution 5-7, authorize rejection of bids and rebid general athletic equipment and supplies. This resolution authorizes the rejection of bids and rebids for general athletic supplies. Bid notices were mailed to 19 prospective bidders, of which 4 picked up bid packages. 2 bidders were received. However, both bids had fatal defect that renders the bid proposals unresponsive. Therefore, we will go back out to bid. Resolution 5-8, authorize change order number 1, architectural services pool. This resolution authorizes a change order in the aggregate amount of the professional architect services pool to $200,000. These funds have not been spent. However, we do have 2 projects in design this year that may exceed the initial aggregate amount of $85,000. Resolution 5-9, authorize change order number 1 final sand importation to Brick Beachfront. This resolution authorizes the final change order in the sand importation to Brick Beachfront capital ordinance, which is a decrease in the contract amount of $663,893.43. This is an open contract we had in place to import sand and create safe beaches for the summer in between the installation of the steel revetment wall and the Army Corps of Engineers beach replenishment project, which is currently underway and pumping sand onto our beaches. Resolution 510, authorize change order number 3 final, Traders Cove Marina floating dock and breakwater project. This resolution authorizes the final change order in the Traders Cove Marina floating dock and breakwater project, which is a decrease in the amount of $26,362.53. Resolution 511, authorize waiver of noise ordinance, ShopRite and Kohl's renovation project. This resolution authorizes the waiver of the township noise ordinance to allow renovations, including the replacement of the facade, storefront, and removal of doors at the ShopRite and Kohl's between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., April 25th through November 1st. The nighttime hours will create a safer environment during the work and will guarantee there will not be customers in the areas when framing, glass, and doors are being all replaced. Resolution 512, authorize special events permit, Battle at the Beach Lacrosse Tournament. This resolution authorizes a lacrosse event on June 30th through July 1st at Drum Point Sports Complex between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. 513, bond releases and reduction. Madam Clerk?
Yes, 513A is a cash performance bond release for Darrell Porter at Maniloking Road in the amount of $3,732.69. 513B is a cash performance bond release for W&F developers for various locations in the amount of $350. 513C is an inspection fund release for Miroslav Sikorjov for Brick Boulevard in the amount of $227.03.
Told you were going to have a problem with that one.
Better.
Resolution 514, tax collector. Business administrator, please.
Thanks. 14A, 100% DAV refund and cancel taxes at Block 378.07, Lot 6, in the amount of $1,837.28. 14B are tax overpayments for the year 2012, Block 1192.02, Lot 91, in the amount of $494.13. 14C are tax overpayments for the year 2018, Block 1144.17, Lot 1, in the amount of $271.19, and Block 380.25, Lot 20, in the amount of $1,414.88.
Anybody on council have any questions or comments? Motion and a second, please.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Halloran, second by Councilman Fosman. Open to public for any questions or comments on the resolutions on the consent agenda. Seeing none, close public. Bill resolution.
I'm going to take the roll call
Roll call.
first.
Where is roll?
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
President DeYoung.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bill resolution.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $10,476,205.13.
Anybody on council, questions or comments? May I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Pontarero, second by Councilman Halloran. Anybody from the public? Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Abstain on New Jersey press media and yes to the rest.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
President DeYoung.
Abstain, CME Associates, yes to the rest, please. Bill Resolution Manual 2018, Madam Clerk.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $1,673,957.97.
Open to council. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Pontarero, second by Councilman Halloran. Open to public. Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
Councilman Momolo.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
President DeYoung.
Abstain, CME Associates, and yes to the rest.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 6, ordinance on second reading, amend Matitaconk Village redevelopment plan.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending Matitaconk, sorry, Village redevelopment plan.
The scope of the Matitaconk Village redevelopment plan is to begin the process of revitalizing the former Food Town site, a dilapidated and underutilized property in the heart of Brick. That plan was developed to outline the objectives and standards by which the redevelopment of the site will be accomplished. Amending the plan is necessary to allow for the site to be developed for a dual use that features an indoor sports recreation community facility in the rear of the site with retail in the front. Both developers have been identified and are working together on a concept plan that will be presented to the council and the planning board. The redevelopment plan is essential in identifying the best uses for the site, which facilitates the sale of the property and the site plan applications which will come next. This amendment is a huge step towards the development of the property with ideal uses that enhance our community by removing an eyesore and replacing it with great projects that provide our residents with yet another opportunity for connectivity with one another and for activities for our families. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Momolo, second by Councilwoman Zapsik. Open to public? Yes?
I think I saw something probably online, since I do not get any hard copy newspaper or media delivered to my home. I read the Brick Patch mostly, and I give great kudos to Karen Wall. She keeps me informed. And I know he's not here tonight because he told me he would be absent, but Danny Nee is my other source, and between them, they keep me apprised of Brick. There are other patches that keep me apprised of the state. There was something about a change from what we had discussed, we, being we the people many years ago, that discussed what we were going to do with this Food Town property, and most of us were in favor of some type of a small hotel, like the Marriott residence, like the one that went up in Lakewood before we did anything with our Food Town. They had it all done. Exactly what's going to be there. You said a sports complex in the rear, and I remember, I think that's some type of a balloon type sports area.
It's a Superdome. If you look online at the Waldrick Superdome, that is pretty much the concept of what
Would you spell
Waldrick.
WALDDWICK.
Waldrick Superdome? Waldwick. Thank you. Superdome. And to me, it sounded like the balloon that at least I call down in Tom's River, where I think they used to call it a Retaco Center. Oh yeah, he went to jail too, I think. We shouldn't name anything until people have died, but we do, and then we have to have them torn down. Is it similar to that sports arena down in Tom's River?
It's similar to the Waldwick Superdome that I referenced.
I don't pass Waldwick.
Yeah, basically, the Retaco Center
I
is a basketball court that's attached to Toms River North.
What is ours going to be? Is it going to be similar to that it's not a roof like I think of a roof?
I was just about to tell you.
Or walls?
Okay, you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Good. All right, here we go. It's going to be awesome. So if you're looking at it from Route 70, in the upper right-hand corner, there's going to be 2 sand volleyball courts out there. Then you're going to move over to the left, and there's going to be a bubble-type structure, a membrane-type structure. Inside there is going to be long enough for one football field going from right to left. But it also, how many times you're going to play football in there. So it's really 3 soccer, lacrosse fields going from up to down.
Oh, so there
and then-
will be fields in there. I never conceived that that was what it was.
Yep, it's all indoor fields, turf. Then you move over and you go to the front of the building. So the front of the building is going to have this, it's a Butler-style building. So when you look at it from Route 70, you're not going to see a big ugly bubble. You're going to see this beautiful kind of Butler-style building that's going to be...
What is a Butler-style building?
Butler building is a building that gets manufactured off-site and gets brought in to the site and built kind of like big Legos. So it gets built on-site. And there in that building is going to be all the things. There's going to be an arcade room. There's going to be a party room. There is going to be ceramic studios, yoga studios. There's going to be a physical therapist office in there. And what the Pete Tosca, who runs the Warwick Superdome and is going to be running this one, he's looking for other ideas for the other portions of it. Then when you go to the left, outside of that building, there's going to be another building with basketball courts and the indoor wave, which is called a float rider, so that people can do indoor surfing, and it's a constant wave that is perfect all year long. You don't have to worry about water temperature. And that's all with the one developer. And then the other developer who we had to settle the lawsuit with, who was the one who was supposed to build the hotel, never built the hotel, all that, is 3, right now, his current concept is 3 buildings. One to be a food store, one to be a restaurant, and the other one is kind of up in the air, bank, he's not sure. And he doesn't have any tenants, so it's not like we can say that that's what it
What
is.
was the first one again?
Supermarket,
No,
food store, grocery store.
Supermarket. Yeah, we need another one right there. Supermarket, and then second
Restaurant.
was restaurant.
And then a third building. But he hasn't announced any tenants, so you can't really say that's what they are. The one's a 22,000 square foot building, so that would be the food store. And then the other 2 are similar size, bank, restaurant.
I'm going to
buildings.
put an Oprah request in for the complete details of the settlement of that lawsuit. I don't recall noticing the details anywhere. And how much money did we, the township, have to pay out because of the lawsuit?
We didn't have to pay out anything. It's a settlement, so we're allowing him to develop the front half of the lot.
But we didn't have to pay court fees or anything for the lawsuit? There were no hours of an attorney or anything
To him?
that we, the taxpayers, had to pay?
Well, we had to pay a lawyer to represent us in the lawsuit, of course.
So we did incur costs to settle that lawsuit. And I will remind you, and everybody at home, I get more and more comments from people, are you the lady? Latest place that I'm getting them is as I leave church. And people are foursquare behind me saying, you keep it up, you speak for us. So if you think I'm nasty, the people out there don't. And I told that to Brian DeLuca years ago.
I just want to say that the reason the township incurred costs is because the developer was not going to build what was originally designed there.
And he's still not.
And we terminated the contract with them because of that, and he sued the township. So
Oh.
the township was not.
So it wasn't our bringing of it.
That's correct. We did
However,
not file the lawsuit.
what I was bringing out, so everybody at home, more than some of the people here, will hear, and that I'll remind you, I told you the man was a bad actor. Don't do business with him. I've been coming here. I know all the times. He did not act in good faith.
Anybody else? Yes. This is on the
This is on the sports
the ordinance.
The sports
Yeah.
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
Your name?
Sean Holmes, 1425 Davidson Ave. I just wanted to voice my opinion, saying that I think this is a really great idea for this complex and the buildings along with it, and the fields and the volleyball courts and the what is it? Wave.
The wave.
Flow rider.
Room for surfing. Sounds like a very great thing. My biggest worry after hearing how plans for this property have been delayed years and years is that people in my grade and people I know, we won't get to see this happen like before we graduate, if you know what I mean. So I don't really have a question.
Are you a senior this year?
No, I'm a freshman.
Oh,
So-
you got it.
So
It'll be
it's
way
not-
done.
So I'll tell you about the process. So the process is where we are with it is both there's two developers. Now, neither one of them own the property. We still own it. And we have an application that's going to be pending with CAFRA. And CAFRA, it's because it's within a certain amount of footage of the Forge Pond. So anytime you build within a certain amount of feet from a body of water, you have to get a CAFRA permit from the state that allows you to build it. So that allows you to build whatever it is. So before you can submit a CAFRA project, CAFRA application, both of these entities have to get together, decide on shared parking and where drains are going to go and all this stuff, because that's what CAFRA wants to look at, is, you know, where's the stormwater going? We don't want it going into the water. We want it going away and getting filtrated and blah, blah, blah. So that's the kind of battle we're having, because we have a great relationship with the one developer with the sports dome, and we just got out of a lawsuit with the developer for the front half of the suit, so the front half of the property. So obviously there's some difficulty there. Hopefully they'll agree on this concept plan. It goes to CAFRA. That's where we don't have control because it's a state entity. And I don't know if there's a DEP commissioner appointed yet, but the people aren't hired underneath. That may take 4 months to get through that process, but then it comes back to us where we have a planning board and the council has to hear it one last time, and then the construction can start. The guy who owns the sports dome, he wants to be open in November of this year. Whether or not that's, kind of pushing it too much, but that's what he wants, and that's what he's pushing for, and that's why he's trying to get this thing into CAFRA as soon as possible. And that's what we're hoping for, is to have it by the end of the year.
One follow-up. So if the property is still owned by the township, when it's finished, would the complex would that be like part of the Parks and Recreations Department? Or?
No, it goes through the CAFRA process, then it has to go through our planning board, and then what I was saying, then it has to go to the council, because the council has to approve the contract for sale for each one of these entities, and then a closing happens just as if you bought a house. There's an actual closing, and that's when they take the deeds, and they are now the owners. Somebody's going to own the front half, somebody's going to own the back half, and it's a private entity. Government shouldn't be in kind of business area. And that's why we shouldn't have bought the property in the first place. We've owned it since 2004 or something. Whenever we tried to, I guess the town wanted to stop a Home Depot from going there, which ended up just going, as you know, maybe a half mile down the road, quarter mile down the road anyway. So, we don't need to be holding property, and we want it back on the tax rolls and have an awesome facility.
Great, that's really great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Ponterero.
Yes.
President DeYoung.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are now up to public comment portion.
Please note that each person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B.
Mr. Gross.
Richard Gross, 29 Greenbrier Boulevard. This is just suggestions.
Yes.
A number of years ago, when I was 6'2", I could go in and change a fluorescent tube. But since then, I can't do it. However, the best thing I did was convert the fluorescent tubes into digital. It cost me a few bucks, but it saves me money, and I've been told I will never, ever have to change a bulb. Going further along, Greenbrier 2 is now negotiated with JCP&L, and they're changing all of the street lights to digital lights. I'm wondering whether or not that's practical here, to get rid of all these fluorescent lights and put digital lights in. I don't know the answer, other than if I could do it, you can do it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Gross. Next, Mr. Saluka.
It would be a big cost with that. Just,
Yeah,
you know,
that would be a
so.
huge capital
Not
cost.
something we want to do, put on our taxpayers' back.
John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. I'm going to read my letter addressed to Mayor Ducey on April 19th to the council president, Heather DeYoung, and all the council members. The current commissioners of the New Jersey Turnpike Authority knowingly ignored facts and authorized the natural barriers surrounding the Garden State Parkway to be destroyed about 5.5 years ago. This underhanded method of paying back their big money contributors continues to allow pollutants from the Garden State Parkway to harm our children as they breathe in the toxins at the bus stops each day. Slowly but surely, the commissioners of the New Jersey Turnpike Authority are killing our residents. The governor and other politicians have shown little concern for the residents and seem more apt to listen to the lobbyists who fund their campaigns. Little interest is given to the pregnant mother-to-be who now may have an autistic child, or to the ills of the asthmatic children as they struggle to breathe that air in each day. Basically, no physical signs of involvement are shown by politicians as the seniors of the community with COPD and heart ailments meet an early demise. In the last few council meetings, I have read from many studies about the ill effects of the auto and truck emissions on the lives of and the well-being of our citizenry. I will not continue in this meeting to read from the hundreds of studies that have been published in the U.S. and abroad, but bureaucrats who are ingrained in our government's higher echelons should read for themselves and then spend some time at least making an attempt to help our residents. The people understand that a 14-foot safety, noise, and pollution wall would not be a cure-all for all the destruction caused by the New Jersey Turnpike Authority commissioners, but maybe at least it would be a small aid in helping stabilize the health of Brick residents who face premature deaths or lifelong disorders. Our elected officials and their appointees should stand with citizens in the fight for the lives of Brick residents, and we need to hear them attest to that belief. Along with the 14-foot safety, noise, and pollution wall in Evergreen Woods, Primrose Gardens, and various other areas of Brick, a large expanse of trees and shrubs need to be planted. With that in mind, the citizens need the mayor, the council, the administration to stand strong and speak loudly, and at the same time pressure the NJTA commissioners to do the right thing for the citizens, as well as urge the governor and other state and county officials to stand with the citizens and not the big government bureaucrats and lobbyists that finance their campaigns. So I would like to say the time is now to act, but in reality, it's well past that time. The time to act was years ago, but we need to step up. So since it is well past the time when these local officials need to take legal action to protect our citizens, thank you for your time, and I yield back 1 minute and 40 seconds.
Fit there. Sam Foster, Teague Drive. This is public comments, correct?
It is.
Okay, good. Well, I have a cold, so I'm not too wizard tonight. I have an issue with the Buy and Brick Club program, and I wanted to bring this to the attention of the mayor. I've already posted something on the township's Facebook page about it. I don't really use it a lot, except I went to like IHOP once. So maybe the mayor could tell me this. I don't know who's in charge of it. Is it the department, or who's the one that's actually in charge of going out and recruiting members for it? Is that any particular department, mayor, or is it who in particular? Or is it your
You want the person? Is that right?
yeah, well, just as far as who in the township is there any one person that's out there that like reaches out and tries to recruit people for the program, or?
Yeah, we have our administration staff.
Administration staff, because,
Administration. Yep.
like I said, I posted this on the Facebook page. I don't know if it got back to you. I don't know if it's monitored, how well it's monitored, but basically I drive a lot, so I put a lot of miles on my car. I just spent about $2,000 on repairs, brakes and starter. And I thought that Firestone was a member of the Buy and Brick program, so I went there. but they turned out that they weren't. Now, this year I have, and I put this on the Facebook page of Brick. is
Mr.
that-
Foster, I read your post, and you're,
About the firestorm?
yes.
Yeah, and
and
auto repairs?
what you want,
Well,
you want the
nationwide.
corporate nationwide, and
Something-
those are the businesses that won't join Buy and Brick because they do have that corporate structure that they have to go through. But what Buy and Brick is really for is to encourage our residents to go through the locals, to shop locally, and to encourage them to use those mom and pop stores. Because the
Well-
nationwide guys, they have business all the time.
Yeah,
But we
yeah.
want to make sure that the mom and pop stores also get those businesses, and Buy and Brick encourages our
okay.
residents to use
Well, if you
them.
read my post, you know the point of the post is that in order to actually make this meaningful, you have to spend so much money that no one's going to go into an IHOP. And I mean, I eat out every day, and I'm not going to spend enough money in, like say, at IHOP to make any significant impact on my
It all adds
property
up.
taxes. Well, not that much. No,
It-
I mean, I just well, no, let me finish
Okay.
because you said you read my post. I just had a brick job, and I had starter on my card. It was $2,000. Now, if that had been applied to a company that had the Buy and Brick program, that would have been, you know, that would have added up. It would have been meaningful, not this, you know. I got my receipt, my wallet from IHOP. It was $1.20.
Well,
And-
you could have went to Joe's Service Center. If you go on our township
but
website,
that's-
there is
yeah.
the site of
But-
what all
Yeah,
the businesses are.
But that's not
and
nationwide. No,
No,
the point. Well, you
but-
said you read my post, so the point
And
of the
what I'm
post
saying-
is
telling you
yes,
is
but
they
then,
won't join.
Then you should understand my concern is if someone goes on a vacation or out of state, then if you're covered by nationwide warranty, I know if I go to Mr. Tire or Pine Belt and there's a problem with that repair, I don't have to worry about getting stuck and costing another a repair bill. Like I got stuck at work once because my starter went and I had to be towed home. But if it's you know, these little well, the point is it's a disappointment to me because not adding up, it's not really worthwhile to me from my standpoint because the only thing that's in there are be mom and pop stores and it's useless outside of this area. And if you're trying to encourage, I've heard different things about it. I was told that originally the reason why this program was even developed, and the mayor said this at a event at the one of the retirement centers that I attended with him, is that to give us a break on our property taxes. But so you know, it's just if I feel that if you're unable or unwilling to attract companies that are nationwide with nationwide warranties, then you should focus more on doing something like cutting our taxes in a meaningful way without having a gimmicky program like the Buy and Brick program. Because let's face it, you know, if I have $2,000 worth of car repairs, I want to know that if I'm delivering somewhere or if I'm going anywhere, because I do drive all over the state, and I want to visit my family in South Carolina, Joe's Service Center isn't going to cover my brakes if they go on Interstate 95 in North Carolina. But I know that Firestone or Mr. Tire or anybody else would. And Mr. Tire is very community authorized. I don't know why Mrs. Crate is shaking her head. I don't know if she's disagreeing with me or
Mr.
what,
Foster?
but
Mr. Foster?
who is
The-
talking?
Me. The name of the program is Buy in Brick,
Yes, I understand that.
and that's the purpose of it. The nationwide, having people shop outside of Brick
That's
defeats
not
the
the
purpose
point.
of the,
No,
defeats
no,
the
no,
purpose
no,
of the
no, Councilman,
program.
no, Councilman. First of all, you're interrupting with a nonsense point because that's not the point that you said. I just said if these are Mr. Tire, Firestone, they're in Brick, so I'm buying in Brick.
Right.
Now the purpose of the program, despite what you said, was according to what Mayor Ducey said, and I heard what he said. He said that program, the Buy and Brick program, is to try to give people an opportunity to reduce their property taxes. That's what he said. That was before you were on the ballot. I know what I'm talking about. So please don't try to lecture me about the program
I'm not
is.
lecturing you, Mr.
Yes, you
Foster.
are.
I'm trying to tell you, there's two purposes of the program. It's
Okay.
Buy in Brick, and it's also to help brick local businesses to attract more business.
That's not what I was told before, because what Mayor Ducey told me was that the program, the Buy the Brick program, is to enable people to spend money and have that expenditure of money applied to their property tax, to reduce their property taxes. That's what I was told. What you're saying isn't true. and I just...
But it is true.
No, it isn't true. No, it isn't true.
Why would anybody join the program if it has no benefit to them? The reason retailers join it, because it's a benefit.
Yes, it's a
They get
benefit.
people to come into their location.
Yes, it's a
That's
benefit.
the second reason why we do it.
Now, it's a benefit to Mr. Tyre of Firestone to have them have customers come into their store.
All right.
Mr.
Yeah,
Foster.
I mean, I understand you just wanted to, you're being defensive, like
No,
you're...
I'm
but
trying to
that's
explain
exa-
something. I'm
well,
giving you the other reason to help
Well,
answer
your
your
reason
question.
isn't true based upon what I heard about the buy and pro program. When I came here and picked up the card, I was told by the employees here at the desk what it was for. It said, this is to help you reduce your taxes, and this stuff, talk out about your mouth is a bunch of nonsense, because Firestone and all
Mr.
these other
Foster?
companies... Well, he interrupted me,
No,
excuse
you're
me.
being disrespectful
No,
now.
he's being disrespected to me
Sir,
by interrupting
we
me, like he
understand your
did the last. Excuse me, wait a minute, like he did the
Okay.
last council meeting when he decided to go off on his temper tantrum about
Mr. Foster?
someone else.
We get your
Yes.
point.
Well,
Please sit
obviously you
down.
don't.
No,
he had
we
no
do.
business. He had no business interrupting me. And
No,
I'm tired of
you
gimmicks
want-
about my taxes.
you want
and I'd like to see you
nationwide
people
businesses.
bear down and actually do your job and do what you promised to do, especially Mayor Ducey, which is to cut our taxes. What happens to all this eliminating waste and mismanagement in town and giving us a tax cut like Mayor Ducey? See you smile, and Councilwoman Crate is up there rubbing her face. But
Again,
look,
I'm not allowed
the
to
one-
smile.
I could bring in the campaign flyers that the mayor, when he was running for council, published.
This is not the campaign, this is the council meeting. If you have anything else, we understand
way-
what you are trying to say.
The way you,
Please sit down,
the
thank
way,
you.
The way you are running this is more like a political campaign.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Oh.
definitely, yes. I mean,
Please
people
sit
that
down,
watch on
Mr.
YouTube know
Foster.
it.
We
I
understand
am-
your point.
I'm
You
glad
want,
that you understand
You want
me.
nationwide businesses. Nationwide
No, I
businesses
want to
do
have
not
a- I
want
want
to
to-
join.
No,
Because
no,
they
no,
have
no,
a
no, no.
corporate structure
Wait.
that they cannot get through with the buy and brick
First of
program.
all, what you said is just as wrong as what Councilman Holleran said.
Okay.
My point is that if I put a lot of cars on my mileage, and I would like to see, in order for this program to even be meaningful, which is not at this point, it's just a gimmick to try and act as if the taxpayers you're doing something to cut our taxes when you're not. What you should do is have some program whereby it will benefit people, and despite what Councilman Holleran said, the point is, again, that any business is a buy and brick program. Yeah, duh, no kidding. I got the card in my wallet, Councilman. I know how to read. Do you? Want me to read it to you? I'm serious about this. I'm mad. I'm fed up with this nonsense about you people being so defensive because of your failed political policies with the people in town, failing to cut our taxes, and then you sit up there and act like smart Alex, and I'm tired of it. Now, if you don't want to hear any constructive criticism, then don't even bother having council meetings. Just have your little meetings by yourselves when you plot around and scheme, because I'm fed up with it. If you don't like the criticism, too bad. And next time you read my post on the Facebook, Township Facebook page, be honest about what I say, and try to act as if you can analyze it properly. If you can't, ask somebody else to do it for you. Maybe you've got the same mentality as Susan Linedecker, I don't know. And I hope you're not articulating yourself.
Excuse me? No, you can stay seated. Thank you. Miss Call, you
I'm
can come
standing,
up.
but you said,
can go
I want
sit
to know
down,
if
sir.
you want me to explain that.
Sir, you can go sit down.
Did you want me
Thank
to explain what I just said?
No, sit down.
Okay.
Sit.
Well, you said excuse me. I just wanted to know if you want me to
Please
explain it to you.
sit
Because I will.
down.
I'm going to right now. But you
Good.
you said excuse me as we're walking away, so I wanted to know if you said excuse me because you didn't understand me, or if you
Mr.
just want to be
Foster.
or if you just want to be a smart aleck.
Please be seated.
See, now I'm going to sit down because I wanted to see what your intent was. If your intent when saying excuse me was you didn't understand what I said,
Please sit.
or if you just want to be a smart aleck.
Thank you.
But I think we all know what you are.
Okay. Thank you.
Mancall, 18 Greenbrier Boulevard, and I had many things I was going to bring up, but I'm going to backtrack, starting with Mr. Foster's comments. I was one of the first people to sign up for the buy and brick. In all this time, I have used it once, and I used it at whatever the liquor store that's part of River Rock is now called, used to be Peterson's. I went in when I was at a dinner there to buy something, a bottle of wine for my home, and saw his buy and brick, and I said, oh, I have that, and I used it. There are other and truly mom and pop shops that I have been going to. One of them, I think that has it, is the Corner Post. My late husband and I used to eat there frequently, only he always called it the Oasis because in Brooklyn that was the place that we went. That this was very similar to, it's reasonable, it's great food, and they are so pleasant to us. I will not use it in a mom and pop shop because it was sold to us as an opportunity to get our taxes reduced. And really, I doubt that we're getting very much off our taxes. And the mom and pop shop is giving money towards that. They're losing money. They're not gaining money. And they probably do it because they're kind of forced into it, like Scarpelli used to extort money from people. So, that said, the other thing that was important to me to bring up was I was one of about a dozen, possibly as many as 20 non-involved presenters at the traffic or transportation or whatever you called it that was in Civic Plaza last week. And there was a question regarding the trees that are being planted on medians, and the president of the council claimed it was a traffic calming device. Excuse me, I went back home. I have attended and still get notices constantly about locust/smart growth. And I went to check myself about the traffic calming devices because I know a lot about them. Speed bumps, speed humps, speed tables. Diversion, narrowing the road is one of the biggest ways. Do you know what calming means? It means to slow traffic down. But we widen them and make it faster. And one of the things that's not listed is trees, foliage, but it does mention that if you use the right traffic calming devices, including a wall, it cuts down on noise and air pollution. So for people in Evergreen Woods, and we had this discussion before, the turnpike and everybody did their own thing. There is also a statute that says when the town is doing anything, or the county, it's really a reciprocal, any work done on our roads, everybody should be coordinating to prevent an adverse effect on the other. Township, county, state, and in this case, the state has added an extra by calling the turnpike an independent entity. So you should all be making sure there's no adverse impact, but it's too late. And tonight, I actually left my home early, and I took advantage and went into the Wawa at the Interchange 91 and took a video showing the ridiculous changes where the people coming from the Herborn side cannot make a left turn like I always did, because I travel those back roads a lot, not so much now, and go up to Greenbrier 2. No, they got to go all around the mulberry bush for no reason. Coming from Greenbrier 2 to come here, you still kept, or they still kept, the ridiculous jug handle turn, which caused me a lot of confusion when they put the entrance to go north there. And then you come out, and when I'm going home now, it is a severe right turn, much more severe than it was, and you put a concrete median with a lamppost on it. It's ridiculous, but again, you did it without us. It was supposed to be about us. You did it without us, and therefore that, like the buy and brick, really isn't for us. It's for you. And I'm going to end with, please, have caucus meetings at which all these things get discussed and we, the people, get to air our displeasure.
Next, please, Michelle.
Good Good evening, Michelle Spector, Jenny Court and Brick. I've been in contact with the governor's office a number of times. I sent an email requesting a site visit, and then I followed up last Tuesday and Friday to, of course, find out that they didn't get it. So I then was given, I found the policy advisors, I got their email, and I forwarded it, and I was just told yesterday that they got receipt of it. Well, same day, it was 5 minutes after 5, I was getting ready to sign off my computer at work, and I almost fell over. I got a call from somebody from the Turnpike Authority, so I thought, well, oh, maybe this is somebody important, and then she's going on and on and on. And I'm like, what department are you? And she says, I'm thinking it's a lawyer or some customer service. So again, it's PR. So she starts talking to me, and she wanted to give me the new executive director's P.O. box address, where I'm sure it's like a slush pile where, you're like the last rummy card where you end up on the bottom and maybe eventually someone will hear you and you get shoved around. I said, it just sounds like, the whole runaround thing. And she goes, well, no, I think that's the wrong word. I said, no, that's exactly the correct word. That's exactly what you people do. And you try to discourage everyone. So I said, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But in the meantime, I'm going to be using the governor's office to get you people to do something because, he is the only one that you're beholden to. So it's the only. I said, we're not going to stop until we actually get something done. So they're in receipt of it, and I don't really know. I'm sure that they didn't tell them to call us just to give me a P.O. box. So if I don't hear from the governor's office, I'll call again on Friday. I'll see if they say, well, did they call you? And then I'll know. Otherwise, I'll assume that they did it on their own. Maybe they're running scared. That would be like a first. But anyway, I was wondering if you had, I sent you an email. Did you send something to the governor's office to ask for a site visit? The email that I sent you?
Well, I followed up today with the senator's office because they were taking the lead on contacting the state. Is that correct? That's my understanding because I wasn't attending that meeting, and they told me that they followed up as recently as this morning because I called to see if there had been any progress on their request because it was their request.
Okay.
So we did ask them to follow up.
Okay, so did you send any email to the email that I sent you to request a site visit to Evergreen Woods?
Sent it to who?
She's asking for
I
you
didn't
to
get an
DOT.
email.
Well, I sent it to Joan.
Yeah, we went through the Holzappel's office because they were taking the lead on that meeting, so
Okay.
we followed up with them.
Okay.
We
Well,
asked, and
should I have them ask for a site visit? Because we really want the governor to come visit Evergreen Woods. We want someone from their office. Because we think that once they see it, they would be disgusted. Well, that's the idea.
Yes, it's a good idea.
Okay. So could you forward him, I guess, the email and have him, or call, call, the chief policy advisor is Kathleen Frangione. That's Frangione. And there's a main number you can just get transferred is 609-292-6000. You'll probably get her secretary. And just ask and say, can we get a site visit to Evergreen Woods? And, I've already spoke to them, but a little more push, maybe something will happen. Okay? All right, thank you.
Next, Mr. Finelli.
For several years, I have been questioning the cost of the PD. With hiring, promotions, contracts, overtime, loaning of offices, etc. Nothing has changed but a reduction in overtime. However, it is no longer just me that has an opinion. I'm going to read parts, just the brick parts, of an editorial from the Asbury Park Press on Sunday, April 15th, titled, "Police Pay is Mind-Numbing." Also going to read two senior citizen comments from the same paper for the same day. Please listen. Pretend it's not me that's talking. Why are property taxes in New Jersey so wildly out of control? Generous salaries and pension benefits for public employees and wasteful layers of government are two of the chief reasons. Most disturbing of all, in the 2017 updates were the police salaries. We're talking a year ago. It is no secret that New Jersey police officers are among the best paid in the nation, second only to California. But some of the new numbers were stunning. In Ocean County, the median household income for 2016 was $62,222. In Brick, 10 officers made more than $170,000 in base pay last year, and nearly 20% of the 135-person force made over $150,000. More than 40% made over $130,000. Remember, these numbers are a year old and only reflect base pay. Excluded is overtime, special duty pay, and assorted other perks. And what makes the salary figures even more worrisome is the impact they have on pension obligations. Most officers are eligible to retire in their late 40s at up to 70% of their final pay. No one denies the importance of a good police force, but the spread between their salaries and other public employees and the average taxpayer in New Jersey is completely out of whack. Many police departments have reduced starting salaries, but it isn't nearly enough to offset the extravagant salaries of experienced officers and the pensions that will come. Governor Murphy has refused to extend the 2% interest arbitration. If he doesn't follow up with a veto on his own, it is sure to accelerate the exodus of even more fed-up homeowners to the tax-friendly states. First person's title was, New Jersey has declared war on the state's senior citizens. Most of us have heard about the war on poverty, drugs, and terror. Now there is another war looming on the horizon, New Jersey's war on its seniors. For the second consecutive year, the state has shortchanged the homestead rebate credit. Add that to the list of the other things that I talked about. This year's benefit is based on $156 million appropriation that was included in the 2018 budget. A 50% cut was put into effect last year and is now being carried over this year. When fully funded a few years ago, the benefits averaged $515 for seniors and disabled homeowners, and now is reduced to approximately $259. About 20% of income for seniors living on a fixed income goes to paying their property taxes. The U.S. Census Bureau reports that 1 in 3 New Jerseyans between the age of 65 to 75 are in the workforce because many of them cannot afford to stop working. New Jersey has one of the highest property tax bases and one of the worst finances of any state in the nation. This one's a little shorter. There is no such thing as free for New Jersey taxpayers. Our legislators are at it again. Free, free, free. We are lied to, manipulated, and promised lower property taxes. Anybody remember when the sales tax money was supposed to go? Tax relief. How about the lottery revenue? Tax relief. How about Atlantic City casino money? Tax relief. Yet my taxes just keep going up. Last year they threw us a bone. They cut the sales tax in exchange for a gasoline tax. Well, guess what? The sales tax is going back to 7%, yet I haven't heard that the gasoline tax will be going back down. Now our new government wants to give everybody free tuition. Free for who? Here comes the shaft again, property owners. By the way, did you get your homestead rebate? I did. It was half of what it was last year. Where is the other half? This is what I've been trying to tell this council for several years. People are leaving, people are getting fed up, people are getting frustrated. You have your little piece, somebody else has their little piece. The homestead rebate was cut in half. It just keeps going on, and you've got about 20% of your population that is trying to live on fixed income. It's not fixed. You can't even use that term anymore. All it is more going out, not enough coming in. Thank you.
Anybody else? Melanie?
Melanie Briggs. I was intricately involved with the Buy and Brick program. When it started, I gave out thousands of cards, had my spiel down to a science. It was set up for two reasons: to help the taxpayer save a few bucks, and to try to save the small stores in town that were closing left and right. It was stated from day one. People would come to me, well, is Walmart going to come on board? No. Walmart doesn't need to survive by us going there. They already have people coming. Anybody that has any other misconception is wrong. And I'm very happy to see that it's expanded and greater numbers of businesses are signing up. One thing I'd like to bring, and I don't usually tell the council, but I think you should look into, there is a rule that you are allowed to remove people from the meeting and keep them removed from the meeting for certain actions. And I think a few of those actions were done tonight. Thank you. Good night.
Anybody else? Seeing none, close public. Mrs. Bergen. No, thank you. Mayor? Of course.
Thank you. Well, we had an exciting week because it was finally opening day for our two Little Leagues, and as well as our recreation softball. It's great to see all the little kids who are doing such an all-American type activity, and their fathers and mothers are out there coaching them as volunteers. And it's nice to have a fresh start to a brand new season. All the kids out there who played in the past and played last year, maybe made an error or a strikeout, and now you have a clean slate at this point and a nice opening day. And I wish you all a successful season. Went to the Greenbrier Kiwanis meeting on Thursday, April 19th. It was a great meeting. Lots of good questions. Probably about 110 people from Greenbrier Kiwanis were there, as well as additional, the high school kids were there from the Key Club. So it was nice to see the high school kids with the senior citizens and the diversity of the different questions. Career Day at St. Dominic's School, thank you for inviting me. It was Friday, April 20th. It was a great event. It was quick. It was 8 different classes that I got a chance to speak to. And again, the kids just have all sorts of questions exactly about the town. They're asking me about the Food Town site and the sports dome. And they're real excited about all the different programs here in Brick Township. Our new teen center they were talking about. They mentioned all the different activities and the sports leagues and everything. And just it's great to see that investment in our future is really working. Included in that, I went to Brick Township High School Guys and Dolls Play on Friday, April 20th. It was an unbelievable performance by the men and women of our high school, and they really did a fantastic performance. Our Green Fair was an unbelievable event as well. It's great to see that many people that showed up that cares about our environment and again cares about our future. Some other events that are coming up. May 6th is going to be the first ever in the United States of America. Build Bear. So a second grader came up with an idea through the mayor's advisory. Council that, why don't we have a Build-A-Bear store? And so what we did is we contacted Build-A-Bear Corporation, and they decided to, for one day, we're going to have a Build-A-Bear store. It's going to be the first time they're ever doing it in the history of the company, first time in the United States of America, right here in Brick Township. It is on Sunday, May 6th, from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. It is $30, and you do have to sign up in advance. Go to our Brick Township Recreation Department. And then afterwards, we're having a picnic, and going to welcome the new residents, these new bears. The kids get to name them. It's going to be a really fun event. High school kids are actually excited about it, just as the younger ones are. They get to name the bear. They get to put a heart inside the bear. And then there's a birth certificate ceremony. And then we're going to go to Windward Beach at 12 o'clock for a picnic and welcome all the new residents of Brick. And the outfit is a Brick Proud t-shirt. And it's a bear, and it's $30. Everybody knows it's a lot more expensive if you ever go to the store. And then we have some great senior events. I'm talking a lot about the kids, but our seniors, we have the future, which is our kids, and we have the seniors who are here. We have a great Mother's Day dance on Friday, May 4th. It's from 1 to 3. Call Senior Services for reservations, 732-920-8686. And then the great event that we started here in Brick Township years ago, the Senior Citizen Prom on Friday, May 11th from 6 to 9. Again, call Recreation this time for reservations, 732-262-1044. And that is from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock on May 11th. You have to have reservations. It sells out every year. They have a great band. There's lots of dancing. And our National Honor Society students from both high schools serve dinner, serve desserts, and just shows you how great Brick Township is, from Little League through Career Day at schools, through high school plays, to Build-A-Bear events, and then on to the seniors with Mother's Day dances and senior proms. It's just a great place to live here in Brick Township, and I'm proud to be mayor of this great town. So thank you.
Mr. Starkey. Madam Clerk.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Councilman Halloran.
Thank you. Just congratulations to the students of the month, and that's it.
Council Vice President Crete.
I'll be brief. I also attended the Green Fair on Saturday. I actually was there for setup, so I just want to say great job to everyone who was involved putting that together. And also, I had the great opportunity to help the Shade Tree Commission ladies set their table up with the trees that everybody loves to get, and they are a hoot, like really funny. Has anybody ever spent time with them? They're really great people. So if you're interested in the Shade Tree Commission, they're a great group of girls. I really enjoyed spending time with them. I also on Saturday took my mom to the As Time Goes By play at Civic Plaza, which was free to our residents. It was with Rethel Bean and Elaine Bromka. It was so fantastic. I can't say enough about how wonderful it was. And it was a packed house. There were lots of senior citizens there, but there were also, like I was there, and there were a couple of other younger people who showed up and brought their moms and everything. And it was really, what do you think of that? It was really such a great day. And Carol from Recreation was there, and she was just so pleasant and really a great person to have, running that event that day. So I just want to send commendations out to the Recreation Department for putting that together, because it really was a wonderful event, and it did bring a lot of people together. And I met a lot of great people that day, so I appreciate that. And I appreciate this town, and I am still very proud to be a citizen of Brick, no matter what the commentary is throughout the meeting. So thank you, and have a good evening.
Councilman Mumolo.
Thank you. First off, congratulations to the students of the month. Also like to thank the Boy Scout Troop number 6. There was about a dozen of them out at Windward Beach on Saturday. They did a cleanup and they planted a bunch of little shrubs. That was very nice. Great job. Did attend the Green Fair, and that was also a very nice event. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Councilman Fosman.
Thank you, Council President. I attended a grand opening. It was the Shore Style on 602 Manlocan Road. They have a lot of unique things there. I don't want to take my wife there because I'm afraid she'll buy stuff. But it's a lot of unique items. I went to the Hackensack Meridian Hospital upcycling display, just like we have out here. They had it over there at the hospital. Also, I went to the Jenkinsons in Point Pleasant to see Governor Phil Murphy sign a bill opposing offshore drilling. I thought that was great. Was a lot of people there, and it was something great to protect the shoreline. I think that's very important. Beach sweep, Brick One, I was helping clean up the beach over there. Then after that, I went to the 8th Annual Green Fair. It was very nice and well attended there, and it was a great job the town did setting it up. And I guess Keith Relish should get the kudos for that. He did a great job. I went to the Neighborhood Watch at Greenbrier 1 just today, and Officer Murphy was there. And one thing that they do at the Neighborhood Watch is they have the officer that is in that district. He stops in too, so everybody can know who the officer is in that district there. And that was Mike DeFlori. And also they were collecting drugs from the seniors. Today was another great thing Governor Phil Murphy did. He signed the Equal Pay for Women in New Jersey bill. That was signed today, so I commend him for a job well done, and congrats to all the women in New Jersey. Everybody gets equal pay now. I'd like to thank Kyle Stanton of Brick. She was the girl that sang the national anthem and at the girls softball opening day, and she did a stellar performance, and I'd just like to thank her for doing that. That's Brick proud right there. And I'm not going to read this because Paul's not in it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Councilwoman Ponzero?
I have no comments this evening.
Thank you. I have a buy and brick update. Just in case, I believe December meeting, I gave an update of what had been spent and saved on taxes. So far, since December of last year, these are little old numbers, over $3.2 million were spent in buy and brick businesses, and about $250,000 was saved on property taxes of brick residents since buy and brick has been, since we've had it. We have over 60 businesses now, and over 5,000 people and families participate. And our newest buy and brick member is Pine Bell Auto Group, which are giving a $250 rebate off a vehicle purchase, and it can be used in combination with other discounts and rebates. Also, we had last week the bike and pedestrian open house, which we were getting public feedback to take to our master plan, and it was a really good collaboration and working through what everybody, the small steps that we can make incrementally, and then over time make a change in our bike and pedestrian. So we have one more work group, and then hopefully we'll be able to put together our master plan. That will then go to planning board to get approved, and we will be able to have a 10-year master plan that we can have for bike and pedestrian safety, which will also help us in the long run get grants and get more funding and be more responsible for our residents. I'd like to thank Maureen and Joanne for helping us understand the budget and getting us through all of our questions this evening, and for their patience and knowledge in this entire budget process. Our next scheduled council meeting is Tuesday, May 8th. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
So moved